Is it Festivus yet? Because I have grievances.
It's not Festivus.
Close enough.
It's not even remotely.
I have grievances, Al.
We all have grievances, Harvey.
I mean, I have a grievance, actually.
Go ahead.
Nobody asks about my dog.
Here we go.
Not one person. An entire community. Everybody. We got Facebook. We got podcasters, YouTubers. Everybody's got their own opinions, but nobody's asking about my dog. But as I say that, is social media just for complaining now?
You're complaining now, James.
I'm not complaining. I'm grieving. It's Festivus.
It's not Festivus.
Then why did you bring it up?
Fair point.
Not one person asked about the dog?
Not one.
Well, how is the dog?
Well, he's doing great, Al. Thanks to you, And, everything I've given to this hobby, I think I earned at least people asking about the dog. And it's basic human decency.
Someone asking about your dog is basic human decency?
It's bare minimum, Al. Bare minimum.
Welcome to Play Nation, where we air grievances and ask about each other's pets.
Merry Festivus, everybody.
It's not Festivus.
Welcome into Play Nation, everybody. This is Harvey. That's Al.
This is Al.
And James.
Hello.
How are you guys doing?
Good.
Doing good.
Yeah.
Trying to figure out what I'm going to do with this package from Keith.
Which package
Sorry.
is that?
This Playdown set that's like weighing down my table right now. It's a little daunting. It's daunting. I'm daunted by the size.
It's not
of
even
this...
It's double daunting. I think it's not even.
It's double daunting. Anyway, sorry to ruin your intro there, Harvey. Please continue.
No, it's fine. It wouldn't be the first time or the last, I imagine.
Nope.
Speaking of the Playdown set, Al, so you have not dug in yet. You're feeling daunted by it. James, you played some, right?
Yeah, I had a week off from the podcast, so I was able to get in there and start playing some of the
oh yeah.
Playdown
How
stuff.
was the visit? Did the folks on Broadway, did they take to your musical idea?
They did not.
Oh.
No. I really thought it was going to be a winner too, but oh well. Maybe next year.
Good effort. So what have you been doing with the Playdown set, James?
I decided to, one of the things I really love about the set is that it covers pretty much the entire country. So I went back to my Long Island roots. Growing up in Long Island, like college basketball, you had to root for teams outside of Long Island because it was rare that we got a team in. Every now and again, Long Island University might make it in or Hofstra, but
Hofstra's in it this year.
So I was really happy when I saw a couple of schools from Long Island, and I said, all right, the Tri-State Athletic Conference, here I come. And I ran a quick, using the instant results, I ran a quick small regular season just to get my team seated. And then I've been running through their conference tournament to see if they have 3 teams that were tournament teams from their conference. So I'm going to see if those 3 will still make it or not. I determined based on the results that one of those schools probably ended up winning the tournament, and that's how they got in because they probably don't belong in otherwise, right? The other 2 are probably front runners.
Okay. So how many teams from the conference made the tournament? Just the one?
3.
Or
the
3? 3, 2 at large, you think, and then the one that won the tournament. That's cool.
Yep, that's what I think it is. I'm seeing how that goes, and right now that school, Roy Nell, is still alive in the tournament, so they just knocked off one of the teams. But yeah, I'm having a lot of fun with it.
Okay.
James, when you talk about Long Island, your Long Island accent came out.
Big time.
That's right.
All of a sudden you switched.
Yes. Yeah, well, you have to walk the walk, right? So
yeah.
Yeah. Go to Oyster Bay on Long Island.
That's right.
Well, I am doing, since you asked, I'm doing the Kentucky Union season replay using the, ridiculous season schedule that was posted on the Play blog. 31
that thing was
games.
A monster. That was a monster.
It is large. 31 games. I think they've played 19 so far. I've been playing mostly with Highlight Maker. I think I've played 2 or 3 with Primetime. Which I find with the college game, primetime moves pretty fast, because it's like, instead of 4 quarters, it's essentially 2 halves.
Is it?
Well, Al, I mean, with the actual piles of cards, instead of 4 stacks of 50, you do 2 stacks of 55.
Right.
Man.
I'm going to have grievances by the end of this episode. But so I'm playing the Kentucky Union games, and I'm going to quick result the other conference games so that I get a final conference standings, and then we'll do the conference tournament for the BSC. And so it's been really fun, and it's just about the right size, I think, and then maybe we'll go back and do a different conference, or maybe we'll move on to something else. We'll see, but I'm enjoying it for now.
Harvey, is the big schedule that you created that you're referring to, is that what Paul is using for the community? Like, is the community project like trying to play every game in that schedule?
I believe so. I don't know for sure, but I'm pretty sure that that's what he's using.
Yeah, wow. I'm pretty sure it is too.
So 31 games. Every team plays 31 games. There's 192 teams. So, you do the math, and that's how many games there are. That's a lot. But he said he was at 1% done. So,
I could just picture like a bar on the computer screen, like during a system update, an old Windows 95 system update progress bar. It's on 1%.
Yeah. Estimated time remaining 12 years, 19 months. All right. So, so we'll get into more in the Playdown with our conversation with Keith, I think. But it's been really cool, I think, to see other people's, what they've been getting into. It seems like conference tournaments are what a lot of people are doing.
Mm.
But I think the single team replay is really fun too. So
yeah, the doable things with that set is going to be the bite-sized chunks, right? It's you got to figure out a way to do that kind of an approach. I think the people are trying to tackle the entire thing, unless you're going to try and do it with everybody else in a co-op. It's going to be too much to take on.
And even, I think doing the whole tournament would be a lot, right? Because that's 63 games, and that, even with Highlight Maker, that's going to take you a little while.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, go ahead.
I'm curious, Harvey, are you keeping like full stats for the team too, like for each player, or are you just playing the games, enjoying it, getting the scores and the standings, or are you like tracking like individual player stats for Kentucky Union?
What do you think I'm doing? No,
I do not think you're tracking individual stats.
I'm not tracking individual stats. Now, I do keep score for the full play games just to kind of see, how it goes. But I don't really. I look at it when the game's over, but it's not like I'm. Again, and even like I think in the first 2 games, I was tracking, impact points on the Highlight Maker game, and I was like, why am I doing this?
Right.
Like, I don't really. It doesn't matter. You know what I mean? It's like, so, but it's been really, and so it's really fun. It's light. I can knock out a game like before I go to work in the morning, like after the kids leave, before I go to the office, like in 10 minutes. And, so yeah, no, I'm not keeping stats.
I bring it up just to illustrate a point that you're having a great time with it. You're not keeping stats, but I bet you when you're done with this project, after playing 30 odd games with this team, you're going to remember the players. You're going to remember who had the impacts, just like you had watched the game. So I guess I see a lot of people in the community every now and then get a little bit tied up in, how can I enjoy this unless I'm tracking stats, everybody. And, if you're that type of person, seriously, just give it a shot. Just enjoy the game, get your wins and losses, and don't stress about, tracking stats for every player, especially if you're playing Highlight Maker. Don't worry about trying to convert impact points into points per game or assists, rebounds, whatever. Now, I know that there's certain people that think that's blasphemy, and I'm not trying to knock them either.
Whatever you're into, whatever you're into, right? But I agree with you in the give it a shot kind of, because I was like that too, right? Like I was very much into stats, and I enjoy keeping stats and seeing, the results of games, but there's definitely a level of freedom that comes with just letting go and just enjoying the game.
it opens you up for these larger projects to be actually completable. That's all I'm saying. So if you want to try to do a full 30-game season, if you want to try to run the whole tournament, etc., just, I guess, play the game out of the box, for lack of a better term.
Yeah.
And enjoy it. But just want to throw that out there.
No, for sure. And I did want to. I wish that I had his name, and because I didn't look it up. But I saw somebody on the community who was doing 3 stars for. Now he was tracking impact points, which I don't know that you actually, because as I'm playing these games, like I know at the end of the game, there's an MVP. Like there's the guy who had he controlled a quarter, or he ran off 6 points in a row. And I think it's a cool idea to track that. Like just at the end of the game, like here's my MVP. And then at the end of the season, you've got 31 games and you can say, well, like he was the best player all year because he was MVP in 12 games or whatever. So I think that's kind of a cool idea, without getting too deep in the weeds on stats, to be able to just, have a highlight player essentially for each game or 2 or whatever.
I track the impact points while I'm playing, but I don't do anything with them after the fact.
You're not tracking it, yeah. Yeah, and so you could do that, and then you could say, here's my guy, here's my 1 or 2 guys from this game, and then if you wanted to track that for a season, that'd be kind of cool to see who really performed. So, anybody watch the World Baseball Classic?
I caught the last game. I think I caught the last 4 innings of the last game.
That's almost exactly the same. I mean, I think I had checked in a little bit, but I watched from the 4th inning on of the championship game. I found it unbelievably compelling. Like I was not expecting, maybe you disagree, Al, but I mean, I was not expecting to be like, on the edge of my seat, but I really was. I thought it was really high level baseball. I thought it was cool that it seemed those guys really cared. I mean, I know the Venezuela guys cared, and I think the U.S. guys seem to care, and I think that's cool. But do you have a different take?
No, for some reason, I don't know what it is, but whether it's the dream team in the Olympics or whether it's the USA in the World Baseball Classic, it's just all swagger. And whereas the other teams are like emotionally invested, and they're wearing their emotions for everybody to see. But with the USA team, it's always, they're posing. There's so much swagger and acting so tough and cool. And I don't know. So I honestly have a little bit of a hard time rooting for USA in the WBC.
Well, you don't have to. I mean, I guess you have to. But I mean, you can just watch it and enjoy it.
They're literally the home team. I mean, you're supposed to root for your home team, right? The passion that I see the other countries, like take Venezuela for example, they're playing the game like they're still in Little League.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And, because when's the last time you saw a baseball player literally cry like in the middle of a game? Was Little League. And now we're seeing it like literally in the World Baseball Classic as he's about to, close the game out. So anyway, that's my take. It's a little bit of a hot take. I'm just not. No. Team USA kind of is just not, I don't know. The brand isn't what it used to be. I just wish they'd just be a little bit, let their guard down a bit and just, be real humans. I don't know. I watched the
last half inning of the last game. That was all I was invested for it. I was kind of tracking it beyond that a little bit, but I was not really into it. I will say, like, I'll take the counterpoint here a little bit and say, like, the guys from the Team USA, like Harper, Judge, like they were up on the top step of the dugout during that last half inning. Like I at least felt like they were invested a little bit. And I think we've all seen the video of Judge after the game, like just kind of taking off the silver medal as he was walking into the dugout. And I think people can read that 2 ways, right? They can read it as like he doesn't care about the silver medal, he doesn't care about the medals at all, or you can read it and be like, he doesn't want the silver because he was going for the gold, right? And he was just a little disappointed that they didn't pull it out there. But, I don't have any disagreement with you that, to me, like those Latin countries and some of the Asian countries, like I think they are all in with this tournament, right? And I think it is pretty clear when you see them celebrating and the way that they are playing the game that they have a different level of interest right now in this World Baseball Classic than maybe Team USA does.
Yeah, I'm sure it felt good to be.
Well, and I think both things can be true, right? I think they can be, the U.S. players can be a little cocky. They can pose a little bit, but then I think that most of those guys really did care about winning, and however they are personality wise is going to come through. But I think they were all giving it all they had. So I guess, and again, I watched 2/3 of one game, so it's not like I was tracking it the whole way. But
yeah,
again, I enjoyed what I saw, so I thought it was cool, and I hope that they, it continues to get better.
Oh, it's great.
I think
it's great for the sport.
Yeah, right, 100%. And they were saying, there's talk about maybe they figure out a way to move it to the middle of the season so that the American players are a little in better condition, in better form, and not at the beginning of the spring trainings.
That was my one complaint about the tournament, is that, is it good for baseball? It's good from a sales standpoint, selling the game standpoint, but I think it's counterproductive to what spring training is supposed to be. And I'll take New York Mets. Nolan McLean started the final game for the Mets, and they were showing that was throwing through the World Baseball Classic, was throwing 3 or 4 miles per hour harder than he did last season on average with his fastball. And you look at it and you're like, should he be doing that during spring training? Because he's only supposed to be getting his innings up right now, right?
Yeah.
The only reason we have spring training is so pitchers have time to build up their stamina. It's not for the hitters. It's not for the team chemistry. It is only for the pitchers to build up their stamina. And does it become counterproductive to the game? And I will also say, on both sides, I think those guys were just emotionally exhausted by the time that tournament was over.
Yeah.
That's probably true. Harvey, the one thing that I was reminded of watching the games, probably the most important thing from a marketing standpoint, are you guys surprised that, as often as we've had this tournament, the cap logos and the uniforms really haven't changed? And I'm blown away by this, given it how in MLB, every year spring training lids are different. They have alternates now. Football is the same. All the leagues are all about alternate jerseys. And in the World Baseball Classic, every year I'm hoping, okay, you're going to give us a new lid for Team USA. Nope, same. And same for all the other countries too. I find that really just weird and odd in this era of marketing and just turning over logos and uniforms that they haven't capitalized that. Because if you've got your cap from 6 years ago, it's still the current one they're using this year. Anyway,
No, that's interesting. And maybe it's a result of the organizations, the different international organizations not being as, dialed into the marketing. I mean, you would think that they would want to sell stuff, but maybe because I know in the World Cup, the U.S. released their new kits, I think yesterday, right?
They look
and
good.
They are sharp. And, that's a thing that they do every time. It's a big deal. What is the new, what's the new kit look like? So you're right. I think it's a missed opportunity for them.
There's got to be a reason.
So, yeah.
All right.
Okay. So just real quick then, before we get into all of our, sports game talk, since we're talking about the World Baseball Classic, obviously that's not y'all's answer to this question, but it led me to the question of, do you have a favorite sporting event? A single event that you look forward to every year as and I think mine might be this month, the NCAA tournament, the excitement, when you get 2 or 3 games coming down to it at the end and you're switching back and forth, and it's just, I love it. So I think that's my answer. Do you guys have a favorite sporting event that you're looking forward to? And it's appointment TV, nobody bother me when this is on. I'm locked in. I mean, that was my conversation with my wife today. She came home and I was sitting on the sofa watching the games, and she's like, so this is the next 3 weeks? And I'm like, yes, it is. So do you guys have anything like that?
For me, I had to go because you gave us this question 2 days ago. I've had too much time to think about it, so I'm going to give you 3. I'm going to give you my top 3. Number 3, if there's a Game 7 in the Stanley Cup Finals, that's number 3. Number 2 would be a Game 7.
Could it be any? Is it only the finals or any Stanley Cup? Like does it have to be the finals or any Stanley Cup series? Do you know what I mean? Could it be the conference finals?
No.
What?
You got me.
No,
I'm
not
game
got
7.
you. Like,
no.
Okay.
No, I would say any game 7 of any NHL series. Or any final.
Because I'm with you. I'm 100% with you. I love it. Yes.
That's up there. Number 2 would be game 7 of the World Series.
Okay.
But number 1, I this will not come as a surprise because this is what I mark my calendar is the Super Bowl. It's always going to be the Super Bowl. That is my number 1 sporting event. You know, I'm the guy that's watching any 2 teams play on Thursday, on Saturday, on Sunday, and on Monday. I can't get enough of it, and so the Super Bowl will always be my my number 1.
Okay. I like that. I'll take your game 7 of NHL. That's probably my number. If I get 3, I'd probably put that 3, and I'd say Masters Sunday is probably 2, and then NCAA tournament is 1. Anyway, James, what do you got?
Mine's different. So, although I have to go with the hockey one too as a top one, but for me, it is the every 4 years USA Track and Field Championships. I think, to me, it's even better than the Olympics. I think the level of talent for the Team USA and picking that team. Now, remember, I'm a former track coach, so like I kind of like still feel like track events. Like I can remember being at championship events. Like I used to take athletes to the national championships for high school, like every year, took them to the Penn relays. So there's something about that is also very nostalgic to me. And so seeing it at that level is something that just like still to me is like the thing. And I really do think when it comes to like the sprint events and all that, like the 8 people that are on the track in those finals and the USA finals are as good as anybody in the world. Right. So like, to me, it's like the level of competition is right there. And it's a great event.
Is the atmosphere at that event, whether live or on TV, because I'll admit I've never watched it, is the atmosphere electric like it would be at a World Series or a Super Bowl or a game or a hockey game 7?
Probably not to the same degree. And I will say, like, I think it's one of those sports that is definitely becoming more marketed. So I think the athletes are really honing in on trying to market themselves as they win and everything. And I think it's different than it was, 20 or 30 years ago. Right. But yeah, I think there's a decent atmosphere there. And the last few years, I think they're going to move it this next time around. But the last few years, they've been running it at University of Oregon, and that is like Hayward Field is like one of the meccas for track and field. Like, I think that's one of the places that is just has a great crowd around it because they just like have such a great history around track and field at Hayward Field. So I think it draws a really good crowd there.
Nice.
So I haven't been to a track and field event since high school. Is it still the same though, where multiple events are happening simultaneously and you've got like announcing happening for one event while another event is going on? I mean, it never seems focused, like that you can be a spectator.
I would say it's a little more organized. And if you watch some of the events, you'll realize like the high jump, for instance, those guys are taking such approach run-ups now that they are on the track, right? So you can't really have a lot of events going on at the same time. And they do try to like focus that a little bit more. It probably expands the schedule a little bit more. I'm sure during like some of the like heats and stuff, then that is definitely probably still happening. But, no, I think that there is more of a focused event when they get towards the finals, even for like the field events, that they make sure like they're the center of attention to a degree.
Okay. Excellent.
Nice. So all of our answers except James's can be played on the tabletop.
Mine can be played on tabletop to a degree. So
not
with play.
Yeah, right. Yeah. But I think we've talked about that's maybe a missing niche that could be done better. So
agreed.
All right, cool. Well, that was fun chat. Let's take a quick break and we'll come back and talk about what's new at Play. All right, back after it here. Episode 5 of the Play Nation. Big Connect came out recently with lots of stuff in it. Got some freebies, got some release date stuff. Al, you wanna kick us off? You're our resident red, white, and blue racing expert.
Yeah. No, this is cool. So Pete Adams took the 1960 Scram set and rolled it over. He gave some new driver ratings, some new stories, and now you can play through the 1960 Scram season and know that you have Pete's 61 Scram season waiting for you to play after 60. It's kind of neat that you get that continuity, and we'll see maybe if Pete next year hits us for the 62 and keeps us going. But I will say that you can trust that the work that he does on this set is as good as any other Scram release. So definitely check that out if you're into the God, how long ago was that? 60 years ago into NASCAR from 60 years ago.
Yeah.
Wow. Good Lord.
I
was born in the 60s, so that's scary.
Yeah. It's not like every card, right? The idea was that only a handful of them sort of,
and it totally makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think that's pretty much in line with how, Keith rolls his over from year to year for the modern set. So yeah, Some of them changed, some new storylines. Good job, Pete. Thank you for that.
Yeah. James, what about, I know Al is the big soccer fan here, but we'll let you talk about the World Cup set.
That might be a good idea.
Man.
Yeah, that's right. No, I think it's a pretty cool one. So I always forget that this is going on, and I don't know if this is like a new thing or if it's been the last couple World Cups, but the field's not set yet, right? They've got 42 of the 48 teams set, and there's actually 22 teams that are competing in some playoff games to determine who's going to have those last 6 slots. And this set is that play-in set. This is all about those 22 teams. So the full set will be released at a later date. I think we're targeting in the April-May timeframe. World Cup kicks off in June. But this is a chance to play those play-in games and maybe pre-play them as well, right? Because they will be going on for the next, I don't even know when they'll end, probably of the next 6 weeks or so, though. We'll see that tournament playing out. So, yeah.
I think they've done those play-ins before, but I will say that the tournament this year is larger for the first time. I think it was always smaller than it is, but I think they've had that play-in for the last few World Cups.
Okay.
Al, we have a few corrections on. Hard to believe in a set with 5,000 cards in it that there were some But as always, Keith is really good at pointing them out and letting folks know what they should be and get your pencils out and fix them.
Yeah, exactly. If you're working your way through separating all these cards right now and want to make sure that all of the corrections are made, please go download the most recent Connect. Keith has got the corrections to be made that you can pencil into your cards, and he's also provided via link a PDF of the corrected cards. If you've ordered your copy late, you might be one of the lucky ones who actually got those corrected in-house before they were even shipped. So, thanks to Keith for waiting.
The advantage that he's printing or stuff himself, that he's not, that's not getting brought in from an external source.
Yep.
Right.
And then the other new sort of thing on Playdown is you can order if the 5,000 cards isn't enough, you can order some more. But it is actually kind of a cool idea that the sort of generic players in the base set are just kind of light gray and dark gray to represent, I guess, home and away. But he's got a set that has sort of all the base colors that you can then match with the team's colors and get you a little more depth on the teams that you're playing. So you can grab that. I don't know if it justifies a separate order, but maybe the next time you're ordering something, throw that in there and you can get a little more color on your tabletop.
There you go.
Yes.
Speaking of more color on your tabletop, Highlight Maker Hoop Playmats are back in stock. Keith actually showed this off, I want to say last week and maybe maybe I'm mistaken. Maybe it was 2 weeks ago. So had the playmat back on the table. It's one of the nicest he makes. I've always liked the color scheme of that game.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you're looking to get the playmat, because honestly, look, I played a lot with the Blam set, last month, and I use the cardstock boards that are in my boxes. I do not have a copy of that playmat, and I'm telling you, having played it on this slippery table with those cardstock, cards moving around a little bit, I'm looking forward to getting myself one of those playmats. So highly recommend it.
Yeah, I don't usually need the immersion necessarily with a lot of the playmats, but I will say that non-slip makes especially when you get into some of the, like when we started using some of the higher grade cards, like when he was releasing some of those like baseball card quality cards, they just wanted to like just take a ride off your table.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, I would say, the advantages, especially if you're rotating like you do in hoops, like a stack, it's so much easier to grab off of that. And then it also is great because you don't roll dice a ton in that game, but when you do, so it's like, I don't know if it qualifies for like a dice tray, but then to be able to just have the mat where you can just toss it a couple dice, every minute or so, it works really well. So I've had it on my desk for like 3 weeks, basically since I got the game, I've had it on my desk.
It's also one of the better like engineered playmats as well, because like he's got the final minute like sequence thing in that top like right hand corner, and it also fits perfectly where you can put the scoring grid right on top of it. So it's like,
for sure,
well done.
We've got a release date for Play at the Races for the official boxed game, April 23rd. So just over a month from now, you can get the official release with new game boards. There'll also be a new vintage season, which I guess I will let Keith reveal. I'm not going to get that up yet, but I will say I did see a mock-up of the cards, and they're pretty sharp. I'm pretty excited about that. So, and then a 2025 season, so current stars, and a new playmat, which I think Play at the Races that could be really good. I think the way the cards are laid out, and so exciting.
Have
stuff.
you seen it? Have you gotten a sneak peek, Harvey?
No, I've not gotten a sneak peek of the playmat. I just, it was mentioned in the Connect. So I haven't seen any of the new graphics. All I've seen is the vintage season, which I almost said the year, but I did not just now.
No, you did not. I'm looking. It really needs a playmat, right? Because and I don't know if the new game will have the boards. Same. The multiple boards and the way you have to lay them over each other wasn't perfect. I mean, it works, but I think as you lay it out, you're like, this really needs a playmat.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So exciting stuff. A little bit of over a month away, and then James, we got baseball sets, which we'll get into with Keith here in a few minutes.
Yeah, and I think it's baseball set, two different versions. He's done this the last couple of years. We'll get into it a little bit more, but you've got your express set, you've got the full set, and like last couple of years, the express set is baseball card size. So I think that'll be really cool, and we'll talk to Keith more about that and get some more details.
Okay. Well, let's not keep you waiting any longer. Let's take a quick break, and we will come back with Keith.
You love basketball. You love tabletop sports games. But between work, life, and everything else competing for your time, who's got 3 hours to finish a game? That's where Highlight Maker Hoops from Play Games comes in. Highlight Maker Hoops plays like a sports highlight show recap of a real pro basketball game. Or college. Fast action cards that take you from one big moment to the next, capturing the whole story of the game in about 15 to 20 minutes. Star players take over, role players mess up, coaches make moves, and if the game is close at the end, buckle up because the final minute sequence plays out in full, nail-biting detail. It's not a score generator, it's a basketball simulator, and it plays in a fraction of the time. And here's some big news for College Hoops fans. The brand new College Hoops Play-Down card set is now available. We're talking 192 teams, 15 conferences, over 1,700 players, and a full 64-team tournament bracket. It just might be the most ambitious card set Play has ever produced. Head over to Play.com to grab Highlight Maker Hoops and the new College Hoops Play-Down set and get in the game.
All right, we are joined now by friend of the pod, Keith Avallone from Play Games. Keith, how are you doing today?
Shouldn't it be friend of the cast?
Oh,
that's
playing
just
too
one
much
of us. James.
Yeah. Right into my hands. I like it though.
It's not really a pod; it's a cast.
That's fair.
That's right. That is fair.
Yeah. All right. Well, lots of news happening around Play HQ. We got you on the back end of a History Maker baseball stream. I want to get into about the baseball release, but I think top of mind of everybody right now is the College Hoops Play-Down. Today is like one of my, as we record this on Thursday, one of my favorite sports days of the year, the first day of the NCAA tournament. And so wanted to dig into the release a little bit. What, now that it's out in the wild, how do you feel about, the release of, reaction from customers and how has the first week or so been?
It's good. It was crazy. Although I think I prepared well in advance to have the sets printed. It was not a brief task to get them all put together, but I started early enough so I didn't have to stress out about, oh my gosh, I got to print 20 sets of this today.
Mm-hmm.
And that left me some bandwidth to be able to interact with people about the sets. People, I think, are really enjoying it. I think that there are, there's a group that I think is unique to our community. Thinks, fictional, that's cool. I think it's odd. And then there's another group of people that's like, I don't know. I mean, there are people on the far extreme that are like, fictional, that I'm not playing that. But I think that the set has sort of gotten the attention of a number of people who are sort of in the I don't know camp.
Yeah,
that's like
fictional curious.
This is pretty cool, actually. We were just Aaron was Aaron is the guy that helps out here who's producing our stream. We just recorded the second round of the tournament, and he's from Alabama, so he's become a fan of old Alabama. And he was remarking about how he gets this anxiety about are they going to win? Are they going to play? Then he has to remind himself this is a fictional team. It's not even real, but it points to the power of imagination and just the overall appeal of sports, regional sports, a team you can identify with for whatever reason. It almost doesn't matter whether it's fictional. I mean, the games themselves make them real. They're designed to generate an outcome that is completely plausible. So you kind of do get drawn into it, and I think that's cool. So I would say that I'm seeing sort of an expansion of the fictional acceptability perimeter, and I think more people are thinking it's kind of a fun thing.
I have to say my experience with the set has been a bit of a roller coaster in a good way, but it was like the immediate reaction was, this is amazing. I can't wait to start playing with it. And then it was, what am I going to do with all this? Right. It was like a sense of it was a little overwhelming, right? I mean, there's just so much to it. It's like, I don't even know where to start. And then once I kind of started digging into it, it was like, well, I don't need to break up all however many cards today. Do you know what I mean? I can sort of take a bite and it's been really fun digging into it. And I think that, so many different options of ways to go about a project, I think is super cool.
Yeah, I've gotten that response, the response that you're talking about, like the overwhelming response, but kind of in a good way from a number of people about that schedule that you made. It's like this massive schedule of thousands of games. It's like, it's just so over the top, for a sports game thing, it's like, it is.
You don't need to play them all. And it's like, you can do 31, you can do one team pretty easy.
Exactly. I mean, the whole idea is, but I could, it's like all there, that's the thing that I think, is super interesting. And I think really triggers a lot of people's imagination, sparks their imaginations that they think this is pretty cool. So
I think the one thing about the set, sorry, Al, but the one thing about the set, similar to what we've seen the last few years from you, a couple of years ago with Baseball America, with the Leap cards, last year with Hockey Blast and the XHL, and then this year with this set, is that the thing that'll bridge it for people who are not into fictional is this idea that there's this awesome mechanic in the game that really will draw people in who will get drawn in from a game standpoint, right? And I think the way that you handled the teams beyond the 64 really has an interesting mechanic that people are going to be really, really curious from a gaming standpoint to see what is this like on the tabletop.
Yeah, it works really well in my experience. I play tested it pretty well, and I think it is a cool idea. I don't really know what more to say about it except it works. It's fun, and it lets you have at your disposal literally hundreds of teams without having a bookshelf full of cards.
Keith, do you have a favorite team?
I like St. Aloysius. That's probably my favorite team. They're I have them based in New Canaan, Connecticut. So my wife, this goes back to when I was back in radio, and we actually moved from Minneapolis back to Connecticut. We got in this house in Connecticut when I was working in New York City, and anyway, long story short, we moved back into it, and my wife got a job teaching at this little Catholic school, St. Aloysius. It's like a middle school, not a college, but that's the inspiration for it, and it's in New Canaan, Connecticut, and it just resonates with me. So I think of it as like it's just cool.
Nice.
So it's this little Catholic school in New Canaan, Connecticut, and they're pretty good at basketball.
And so I assume then that anytime you see reports online, like you're always keeping your eyes out for that one particular school.
Yeah, that doesn't seem to show up that much. I don't think that many people are into it. Or, there's so many teams, first of all.
Right.
So they don't seem to show up as often. If they do, though, and I'm aware of it, I will certainly comment. But and they're not my only favorite. I've got a number of favorites, within the I like the Narwhals, Atlantic Shore. That's pretty fun. And Old Wisconsin, having grown up in Wisconsin, Old Wisconsin, the Grizzlies, that's fun. Bellwether State. I love Bellwether State. What, where is that? It's just a very solid school. So yeah, I have a lot of favorites.
Nice.
One of the questions that I think we've had sort of in the group, I think it's all been addressed, and I think you probably put it in the release, but the star player mechanic, right? And
yeah,
I don't know if you want to dig into that a little bit. If I recall, it is if you roll sync on the coach's card, then that triggers the star player, and they go on top of the pile, or is that right?
Well, so the official rules, there's really no official rules. It's more of a suggested thing. I'll be honest, that came. I was making the print files for the generic teams, and I noticed that they had 35 cards. There's 35 uniform numbers, but there's 36 cards.
Mm-hmm.
What should I do with that extra card? And that's when the idea, let's make a star player, And so it kind of came along late in the process, but the more I messed with it, it's like, this is a great idea. And the idea, and then of course I began thinking, how do we incorporate it? How do we make it seamlessly, move into the game? And I thought, well, the sync quality on the coach's card would be a good way to do it. So that's where the rule kind of generates from. There are a lot of teams whose coaches don't have sync.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to make a way for them to be able to even if your coach doesn't have sync, I wanted there to be a chance you could see the star player. So that's where I came up with the idea of, okay, so if the opposing coach gets clash, then you can, then you go into your star player comes in. It's a little bit of a disconnect if you really drill down and think about it. It's like, well, just because the other guy, the other team is clashing, does that mean that your team gets a star player? So it's a little bit of a stretch, but it does serve the purpose of giving every team the chance to see the star player, which I think outweighs any kind of disconnect.
I can buy it though, because if the one team is, if they're disorganized and they just keep leaving the one guy wide open, you know what I mean? Because they can't get their stuff together. It's like that makes sense. He goes off.
You can make the case. I did think about in the highlights version of the game, there's that reading on the unusual results. I think it's 6, 7, and 8, where the trailing team's active player sparks a rally. Right. And I thought, well, if that result comes up, let's put the star player. He sparks the rally and he comes in as the star player, which I think is solid, except for the fact that it happens probably a little bit too often. Right now, I like the fact that the star player is pretty rare. It doesn't happen that often. The better the team, the better the coach, the more it'll happen.
Right.
It feels like it's about right. I don't want the star player to be, an every game or every other game occurrence. Mm-hmm. It should be something kind of special when it happens. Now, I have gotten a lot of emails from people who are wanting to incorporate the star player into the full play game or into the carded teams, the teams that already have cards for all their players. Like if they get a sync result, that the star player comes in and takes their place, which is,
So, we talked about sort of the grandness of the project, or the release. Do you, now having been through it, printing it out, does something this large, sort of ambitious, do you want to do more of those, or does it make you want to do less?
If I thought of something, I'm certainly not averse to doing something. When I did the original Hoops Play-Down, I thought this is pretty ambitious.
Yeah,
4 teams, and this is crazy. I didn't even have, an inkling in my head about, let's do 200 teams in the same set. So I would say never say never. I mean, I don't have anything off the top of my head that I could think of that would be bigger that I would want to do. So if I had an idea, I would pursue it. If it was bigger than this, I would go for it. But right now, I'm not actively pursuing bigger and better ideas. Like, what can I do that's bigger than this? How can I top this? And I'm not really thinking that. I'm just glad it's come off as well as it has.
You talked about and guys, y'all jump in. I mean, I'm just going to keep talking, but you talked about the comparison to the previous release on the Playdown. And the thing that stood out to me with that release was and I think you talked about this, that there was a little more balance across the tournament from 1 to 64. You didn't have this wide gap between the top and the bottom, but in fact, if the tournament is there, the 14s, 15s, and 16s are, they really shouldn't. I mean, they could obviously they win sometimes, but for the most part, they're gonna 9 times out of 10 lose to the team they're matched up with. But I think this set is definitely more in that framework, right? There's a wider breadth of space between the top and the bottom teams.
You know what? I would disagree with you on that argument.
Okay.
Really not the case. What's different is that the teams are tied to specific coaches. I think the original Playdown had the same variance of team abilities, player, but like the collection of players on the worst team was probably about a little bit better than 500, whereas the collection of players on the best team was probably more like a 30-3 or 28-5 or whatever, a really good team. The difference was you could put a poor coach with that good team and it would have a palpable effect on it. So you would never really, and in the original Playdown, none of the coaches were assigned to any specific team. That was the whole idea. It was like, you could take any team, give them a great coach, and see if you can get them to the Final Four. They're all good enough that, they can be competitive, but with a superior coach, they can be more than competitive. And it works the other way too. You can take a really good team and give them a poor coach, and they're not going to perform as well. So that was the wild card of the original Playdown set, and that's why there's really no way to rank or seed those teams because everybody's arrangement is different. Everybody's pairing of coaches and teams is different. But I think this set is, I would say, without having gone back over the original set recently, is on par with it in terms of the distribution of good teams and average teams. There are no bad teams. because it's the tournament, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
Is that applied to the extra teams, like down to like the F minuses?
No, the extra teams can be really bad.
Okay.
There's a big drop off between the tournament teams and the non-tournament teams, and that was a little bit of an issue. It didn't really have enough. So the original teams were graded, and the tournament teams, when we've done like real life NCAA tournament teams, we've ranked them from AAA down to D or D minus. I think like a 500 team will be a D minus, because just to get a little bit of granularity between the really good teams and the really bad teams, and the kind of good teams and the better than kind of good but not dominant. You know what I mean? You have more shades of gray. So we narrowed that down so that D minus is like a 500 team, and AAA is like a 900 team or an 850 team winning percentage. So that only leaves, unless I want to use like Z's and X's for grades, which I really didn't want to do, that only leaves F and F minus for the teams that are below 500. So, it's a rather wide swath in the grid. It assumes that a team that's at an F is going to be about I don't remember the percentages offhand. I don't have the figures, but if I'm remembering correctly, I believe it's like 333, something like they win. An F team will win like a third of their games, and an F minus team wins like a half of a third. A sixth of their games, something like that.
That aligns.
So, I mean, there's a lot less granularity between the losing teams. I don't think it's a problem in a fictional universe, and the coach's abilities also play into that as well.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that that would be one thing, that there's less granularity between the losing teams if you're playing the teams that are not part of the Playdown.
Yeah, I'm like Harvey. I've just dug into it a little bit, so I think one of my questions would be, would you say, like, as people get into looking at all the conferences that you've created, would you say that there are some comparable conferences to the NCAA that you would say, these are probably more like power conferences and these are more like kind of our, like,
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, okay.
The Spillic 12 is pretty strong. The Alliance of 21 has got a lot of good teams. The BSC, which I use a $sign on there because it's the best sports conference, but it's really the big spenders conference. They're into sports. They want to have great teams. There's a lot of really good teams in the BSC. So yes, there are some of the conferences are better than others.
Nice.
And they're represented more in the set. You could tell which are the better conferences based on how many teams from that conference are in the tournament.
Right.
Good point.
The one other thing that I want to just bring up, because, and again, I know that it's been mentioned and I'm sure it's in the literature, but I know that our friend Travis didn't know about it, so I did want to bring it up. For other folks that might not, James didn't know either.
I did not.
The numbering strategy on the generic players, that there's a method to that, and there's a framework for that. And so I didn't know if you wanted to get into that a little bit.
You're missing an opportunity to call it a method to the madness. I mean,
I
didn't. Right. I got really close to that, and I just was not going to say that. So, but I appreciate you doing it.
Forgive me for not remembering.
On the player numbers, Keith, the player numbers for the for the other teams, 65 plus, the first digit is position and the second digit is the quality of that player at that position, right? Yeah,
right.
That's
what
Keith...
I was going to say is that I think that's included in the liner notes.
I'm sure it is. Yeah, but nobody reads.
Nobody reads those.
We do sometimes.
Nobody reads it.
But...
I'm not going to write them anymore. That's
some of us do, but not everybody does.
Yes, that is exactly
Travis
right.
certainly doesn't.
Right.
People get excited. They rip open the package. Right. The pages go flying, and they just want to start playing.
I get it. But in that case, why do they even need to know about the method behind it?
That's right.
Fair.
If you're curious, if you're going to ask questions about it, why don't you read the liner notes? No,
read the fact.
Right. Yeah. You're right, Al. The first digit corresponds to the position. 1 and 6 or 0 and 6 are like utility players, which can play at any position. That's another gives added flexibility that I kind of incorporated in this a position. There's no utility player in basketball. Although, I mean, you could make the case that it's kind of evolving into that now. So
positionless game.
Yes, it's just your best players. Which players best fit the situation? Doesn't matter what position they play. You just put them out there. So the 0 and 6 uniform numbers, obviously, the players aren't numbered 01 and 02. It's just a 1 and a 2. But those players and the 60s players are utility players. And then, like smaller players, guards are the teens, and it gradually goes bigger up to centers, in centers and forwards in the 50s. And so that tells you what the position of the player is. And they're rated, they have the qualities which correspond to those positions. Like the reach quality is going to go to the guys in the 40s and 50s. And sometimes in the 60s, depending on, what kind of player they are. The 60s players and the zeros players are mainly guard types. The 60s players can be a number of different types. So the mix of qualities changes as you get, as the size gets bigger. And then the second digit basically is a numerical rating, 1 to 5, of how good they are. 1 is bad and 5 is good. So if you got a lot of guys who have second digit of 5 and 4, you're going to know those are the really good players. It also helps you really quickly see who do I want to have in here.
Yeah. It makes the lineup, formation much easier.
It's a player aid. It greatly helps the player. I understand these are all fictional players, so you have no idea who they are. But this really helps. Look, that little cue will help you make sure you get the right guys out there.
And I'm convinced that at least a handful of people just learned something.
Well,
besides Travis
and James.
No, I had that moment where I was the first couple games I was going through and trying to figure out who was my starting 5, looking at the ratings, and then when I finally heard what the method was, and then I sat down and did the same thing I had done before and did it, and I was like, well, son of a gun, it is that.
Yeah,
pretty easy. Much easier, isn't it?
Much easier. Setup went from 8 minutes down to 30 seconds. So
yeah, no, for sure.
Perfect.
Yeah, and you can not to open the Pandora's box to make even more possibilities. But using those generic cards, you could make your own college conference if you wanted to. I mean, you can decide how you want, which is the better teams. You know how to make them better, by assigning the different uniform numbers. You can create your own players. You can create your own teams. You can create your own universe if you want to,
That's right.
So, yeah, it's really, really, the possibilities really are limitless with this set.
Well, and one of my thoughts was to take to use the how-to guide to create a historical team and drop them into this universe, right? And have them replace one of the other schools in a conference and just see, rather than having to create all of the 1992 SEC teams, I just make one and put them in the big dollars conference and see what happens.
Yeah, that's a great. There's so many things you can do with it. I mentioned in the liner notes, there's more possibilities than you could explore in your lifetime, in your remaining lifetime. You're never going to be able to, play out all the possibilities of this set. So
I think we could do a whole podcast. Sorry, Keith. I think we could do a whole podcast on what compels the thousands of us to buy these sets that we know we're never going to play completely, if you know what I mean. We're never going to get the true value out of it. And yet we line up with money flying out of the wallet to buy them any chance we get. I'd like to know the psychology behind that. We need to get a psychologist on here and explain why we behave like that.
I think it's tied to our love of the hobby and our long-standing connection with it. And I think getting a new card set evokes a feeling that is very pleasurable. It reminds us of younger times and better times and simpler times. I think there's a strong connection there of just the experience of getting a new card set and looking through it. I mean, even if you don't play it, playing it is almost secondary in some ways. Now, I do feel like like anything, you can take it too far. You can do So I'm not saying you should buy every set that comes out. I'm just saying that is part of. There's more to it than I don't have time to play this set. It's really not a mystery why I want it anyway. Because it evokes some fond feelings in my soul when I get it.
Nice.
Yeah, no, I hadn't even really thought about the value in the looking at the set, but it's so true. I mean, it really is, especially with the fictional, you know what I mean? Because you're like, ooh, what are the new, where are the players and what are the, who's good this year? And you don't even need to play with it to, get some value out of it.
Agreed.
That is exactly right.
Yeah.
All right. Do you guys have anything else on the Playdown set before we move to baseball?
No, just honestly, I remember. So Keith, when you were just talking now about explaining the numbering system, I just was flashing back to I think it was December when I visited, I believe. We were taking a walk with Millie around the neighborhood with the mountains in the background, and you were explaining this crazy idea that you were working on. So
and it was like this, like, wow, I don't know what is
I don't know. Sure, man, whatever. Yeah, sounds great. Good luck. And to see it launch and be so successful, just hats off. Congratulations on another. You did it again, man.
Oh, thanks. I appreciate that. I always believed in it. I always thought this is a great idea. So I'm just glad other people have embraced it as well.
Yeah, I mean, it was the thing that was missing from as much as I enjoyed the other Playdown set, just to be able to play a season, with the team,
right?
And see, the whole top to bottom that's a big part of college sports. So it was awesome. Yeah. Okay, so we've got a new pro baseball set, Keith. That's always exciting. Everybody's always excited about that every year. 2 versions, right, this year?
We've had 2 versions the last couple of years. It seems like the XL version, the trading card version, gets more and more popular each year.
Okay. I
spent extra time this year designing the cards. I wanted them to look like, like baseball trading cards. So my first stop was to look at what do the 2026 Topps cards look like. And so I looked at those and kind of got some ideas bounced around in my head, and I kind of patterned them after the Topps cards. I'm not copying them. They're not a copy. But I think when when I point out the inspiration points, like the uniform, the 2026 Topps cards have sort of a fabric background to them with like a tackle twill stripe from the team sort of running down the side of the card. And I thought, oh, that's cool. Like you use the uniform, because that's kind of been a big deal in trading card sets where, you open this pack, you might get a piece of a game worn uniform from somebody, So the whole uniform thing is I think kind of compelling. So I thought, well, let's use that theme for the cards for the trading card set. And I think I was really pleased with the way it turned out. I'm taking an online course in Adobe Creative Suite, try to brush my skills now it's gone. So I'm applying some of those things to that set in particular, but other sets as well as I move along. The World Cup card set, I'm trying to pick up some of these skills. It's hard to find time to really learn them, and they do take practice, but I'm trying to up my game, get my design chops a little bit stronger. But I'm really pleased with the way the trading cards came out this year. And it's a bigger set this year too. It's 27 cards per team versus 24. You'd be surprised how much having 3 extra players really helps. So it's a more playable set than it's ever been. I think it's a more attractive set than it's ever been. I think it's our best trading card set yet.
Keith, you just mentioned something that reminded me of a conversation we may have had a long time ago, but I thought it would be an interesting question to ask again. You just mentioned like the excitement of opening up a pack of trading cards. You might get that one pack with that rare card or something. Have you logistically, I don't know how you would pull this off, but have you ever given any thought to when people order these special sets that some packages may come with unique cards that other packages don't?
We have talked about that. Aaron had that very same idea. We were talking about this set, and he said, "What if you do like gold foil cards,
right? Like golden ticket."
You got one in your in your set, which I think is a cool idea. I don't know what you do with it though. I mean, you couldn't really collect them. It'd be a nice nod to that aspect of trading card collecting, and I'm not averse to doing it.
Mm-hmm.
And Sam and I often talked about doing like packs, like offering cards in packs and letting people buy them and open them. It requires its own distribution. It has its own distribution chain. You got to get in stores. You have to have them on racks. I mean, it's different than the business model that we currently have, which is basically 1-to-1. If there's a way to translate it, though, I think it'd be super cool. I mean, why would you buy a pack though when you could just buy the whole set?
Yeah,
I mean,
No,
there could be something.
I get that.
That's kind of that's kind of what happened with remember the race day NASCAR trading card game. I don't know if you remember that.
But, sure.
That was the fatal flaw of that. That's what killed that, was because people didn't want to have to buy a bunch of packs to get Dale Earnhardt Jr.'s card. They wanted to just be able to buy Dale Earnhardt Jr.'s card. And they didn't embrace the concept of, wow, what am I going to get in this? Maybe I'll get the guy I want. So, I mean, in certain situations it works, but in others it doesn't. So,
well, if you go back to the idea of, maybe with a season set, just throwing this out there, you have five of these extra cards, and in your set, you're going to get one of these 5, and, an Aaron Judge, etc. And if you don't get the card you want, any of our meetups, whether it's a play.con or another meetup, it's an opportunity for people to bring those cards and trade with other people to get the cards they want. I mean, I get where you're going though. I think as a publisher, you're just setting yourself up for trouble though. When you disappoint, you're going to be disappointing, people invariably because they're not going to get the one they want.
And people will email me asking, can I just buy that one?
Yeah, exactly. And then I get it.
And then what do? You'd say, no, we don't do that. Or
God forbid we try to have any fun. Yeah, I get it.
But I will, to circle back, if there's a way to do it that makes sense, absolutely. Well, I'd love to do that.
All right. Well, Play Nation, you've heard the request.
Yeah.
If you got any bright ideas, let us know.
One interesting idea on that spin, and again, I'm not trying to make more work for anybody here, but would be to actually go the baseball card route, right? And actually create an all-star set of the current season, maybe a limited amount of guys, like top 25 or top 30, and do it as an actual baseball card with the stats on the back, the picture on the front, and just really make it into like a baseball card with some special cards here and there. So
yeah, but who would,
you get into licensing and all that kind of stuff.
You'd have that too. Plus, I think the people that want baseball trading cards are going to buy trading cards. The people that want baseball simulation game cards are going to buy baseball simulation game cards. I think that if you're a baseball sim guy and you got a card that looks like a trading card, that's cool. But I don't know there's going to be a deal breaker. I don't know that people are going to say, oh, this card's got player stats and on the back and all that and a bio. Mm-hmm. I'm not sure that that's why people buy sports sim game cards. Similar with trading cards. I think people buy trading cards because they want their favorite player. They want to invest. They look at it as an investment. They maybe are going to flip it. So it's kind of apples and oranges, really.
Yeah.
Not to just continue to throw things out there, but here's just one more thought. What about like just sort of great because we talked about like just looking at it, right? Like just looking at the set, not necessarily having to play it. All-time great like seasons of players across different sports. Maybe you pull the 1972 Jack Nicklaus card, or maybe you get the 1985 Dwight Gooden card, or the 89 Jordan, or what, and then maybe you give some commons and stuff in there too. And when you place in your order for your set, you can add a pack of like 5 cards, and who knows what you get. Maybe it's some commons, or maybe it's a great one, and you just kind of look at it and you can set it aside. Maybe you play with it if you've got some other sets with that game, or it's just kind of a see what you get kind of thing.
Yeah, it's it's a thought. I'm always thinking about new ways to do it. New ways to do stuff.
One of my favorite things
you're so
was
kind in saying that was a bad idea.
No, I parallel to what
Great
I
idea,
want to do.
Harvey.
No, that was it's fine. I could see doing something like that. I think there's a parallel between what I want to do with what you're talking about with what I want to do with the business card games, where you have a bunch of different games, and maybe you get like you buy, you get like 6 of them or something like that. But it could be any 6, and those are like standalone, independent things that you can actually mess around with and play. But you can also trade with them and trade them with others, and give them away which is kind of the ulterior motive behind getting these in people's hands is promote the company in a unique way. So I wouldn't put the kibosh on any ideas. When you're brainstorming, you never trash anybody's idea, and I think that's worth looking into. Anything like that is worth doing things differently. The way it's been done. I'm always a fan of that.
I really enjoyed when I was playing with the 1985 baseball set, and when you released that, you also did that same year. I think you did like the All-Star 85 set, and you did the All-Star set with like the colored cards, like everybody had like the team colored cards. And I just really liked playing. I was playing with the 85 set. I was doing a season replay kind of thing, and I was like, you know what? I'm just going to replace all my black and white guy, at least with the actual colored cards. And as I'm going through the lineup, I'm like, oh, here's an all-star. Here we go.
Cool. That's cool. And that's certainly doable. And that's a great idea.
To circle back to something you said a long time ago about the design because we talked about this just earlier in the podcast about the World Cup set, the freebie, the sort of the play-in games teams. Will the design of the World Cup set be the same as what you've done with that freebie, or is it going to be slightly different or wholly different?
I think it'll be the same.
Okay. Yeah, because we weren't sure. I was just curious. Okay, cool. Anything else, guys, on baseball releases? No,
I'm looking forward to digging into that. My Mets had an awful year last year, so I'm really looking forward to the Mets. But I think it was a really fun baseball season, the 2025 season. So I'm looking forward to just kind of getting in there and trying some different things with it that won't be like geared towards my favorite team for a change. It'll be figuring out a different project to do with the 2025 set. I'll ignore the Mets' existence.
Do we have the daily states on those? Are they available now? Or are they? I apologize for not knowing the answer to this.
The World Cup
sets. No, the baseball sets. Sorry,
baseball is out tonight.
Okay,
baseball came out tonight.
So go on now and get it as this podcast is out. All right, I guess the last thing we wanted to ask you about, I think probably. It was the first episode where we kind of ran down the 2026 production calendar for play.
And you got a good update in the Connect too, just this past Connect, right?
Yeah,
that we covered.
Any new things jump in, or things that may be later than you had originally anticipated? You certainly don't, and you can certainly say. Not really, but I don't know if anything popped into your brain as like, here's some newsy news.
I would say I'm really focused right now getting the horse race game out on time and the World Cup cards. That's kind of bang, bang, April, May, really, really April. I guess the World Cup card, the printed cards will come out in May. I mean, the earlier the better. The World Cup this year is in June, and people want to play. They want to pre-play it. They want to play it before. So sooner we can get those out, the better. So that's 2 pretty major releases that are kind of consuming a lot of my time in terms of attention. So I really haven't thought a lot about the rest of the year. I do have it blocked out to start working on the NFL teams next month in April. So I'm pretty confident that'll be on time. Along with Football America, I'd like to get them. I think we talked about this already. I'm kind of retreading the ground. I want to release them both at the same time in July. Other than that, I really can't think of anything new and different that's that I can mention.
Okay.
Well, that's good. I mean, yeah, it's good that you're staying on schedule though.
Yeah, right now my focus really is just to make sure that horse racing gets out on time, World Cup gets out on time, and then then we'll see where, what kind of time availability is left for all the other things I want to do for the rest of the year.
Well,
Is Tyler
sorry.
Shuck going to get a 2 passing rating, Keith?
I haven't looked at the numbers.
1 plus, maybe?
I don't think so. I think he might get maybe a game on the line.
Okay.
Maybe a 1-1 with a game on the line.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, we got 3 project guys here, and Keith, a project guy also. So I'm just amazed when somebody who's running a lot of projects gets to the end of quarter 1 and they're still on track. So
that's
kudos.
Impressive.
Yeah. Kudos on that.
Well, thank you. It's been in many ways a struggle, but hanging in there.
Yeah.
Nice.
And, especially with the additional changes that have happened, right? Like, we kicked off this year with, Sam leaving, and I think you being able to adjust and still feel like, hey, you're still delivering the plan. I think that's a lot. So well done.
Well, thank you. Appreciate it. Appreciate the support.
Golf claps.
Yeah. All right. Well, we'll let you get, unless you guys have anything else to add.
No, let's
Keith,
let him get back to work.
Yeah. I mean, you got stuff to do.
That's
I
right.
don't want to keep you.
I'll see you in about 3 weeks, Keith.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing you at IndyCon. I'm trying to decide what we're going to do while I'm there. I've got so many different things. I'd like to bring along the college hoops thing, maybe do something with that, but I'm uncertain as to what exactly we'll be doing.
Yeah,
but we'll be doing something.
I'm sure it'll be fun.
I'll come up with a plan.
All right. Well, thank you, sir. We appreciate your time. We'll talk to you.
Thank you, Keith.
In next month.
All righty. Take care, guys. Talk to you later.
See ya.
I still talk about the one that got away. I had the right spot. I made the right cast. I felt it strike. And just for a moment, I thought I had that once-in-a-lifetime fish on the line. I dug through my tackle box. I switched up my lure. I tried to play it just right, but that big one had other ideas. One hard pull, one last run, and just like that, he was gone. And that's why real-time pro fishing from Play Games is such a great catch. It gives you that same feeling right on your tabletop. Picking the right lure, choosing where to cast, deciding whether to dig deeper into your tackle box for the fish on the line, or let it go and wait for the next bite. You can fish solo, with friends, or against the game's fictional pro anglers. And take it from a guy named Cast. This one's a keeper. Real-time pro fishing from Play Games. Available now at play.com.
All right, we're back. Good chat with Keith, hearing about getting a little more insight on the things going on there. I like how he's never concerned about telling me that I'm wrong. He's very confident.
Usually that's Al's job.
I know. But honestly, I was unaware that that's how that the coaches were such a big impact on the thing. But
I can never say it like Keith did. I'll have to disagree with you there, Harvey. It's like it's so polite.
I know.
I wanted to call him out, but he was like, "There's no bad ideas when you're brainstorming." I'm like, "Well, tell Al that."
Right. Point of order, sir. All right. Well, speaking of great people, let's talk about the folks that provided us some questions for our mailbag this week. We're going to start with Brent Ellers, who says, "Can you all talk about storing games and season sets? And has there ever been any talk about making cards bigger?" Al, do you want to? I know you've got a bit of a storage strategy there in your. I mean, I've seen it. You've got boxes in your closet.
No, I mean, I think it's This is a fun topic because it's like not really about playing the games, but it's about the world that surrounds it. And there's questions in the forums about this all the time. So there's two different questions there. For me, actually, we've been talking a lot with this 1,700 player set. Like, how do you handle either boxing, enveloping, rubber banding 1,700 players and 192 teams. But for me, typically, I like to make projects out of the different games. For History Maker Golf, for example, I love having all of my courses organized in a photo box. So you can go into Michael's and buy these photo boxes. And the size of the History Maker golf cards fit perfectly horizontally into these photo boxes. Make some dividers with some course names, and there you go. You got your History Maker golf courses. I meant to say courses, not the players. Get all the courses in photo boxes. So really, when Keith puts out sets, I typically just think of, okay, what's an interesting or creative way I could keep this. Now, as much as possible, I try to keep the sets I'm playing in the boxes themselves. So the game components, the teams, all in the box. I don't really care about being too neat and tidy when it comes to what projects I'm currently playing. It just because, way too much information, but like we clean the house every 2 weeks, so I can't leave stuff on the table. So I'd like to just go back in the box so I can bring it back out when I'm ready to play again. So I think for me, storing games, I like to have them displayed on my shelf. Harvey's been into my game room. He knows that I like to sort of have all my games on display. And then I'll typically have like most people, the seasons and the individual cards will be hidden away in a closet, nothing special. And like I said, in a photo box or something else. And so that's it's not a big strategy. Actually, you know what? I do have, oh boy, I don't know what they're called. There's a store called the Container Store, and they sell these really cool, and then you can get them on Amazon too. Really cool plastic, containers.
Tubs.
And I'm not tubs, the smaller ones,
like
and
shoebox, or smaller kind of.
Yeah, and they're document size, and they're see-through, and so those work too. But it's not cheap. It's not, you're buying a $5 to $10 plastic container to store a $20 or $30 card set. So, but if you like to stay organized, there are just tons of creative things you can do, and so I think what I'd recommend is stores like Michael's or the Container Store and find something cool. I do caution against rubber bands. I keep getting bit by using rubber bands. I have yet to find a brand of rubber band that won't ruin a card. So over a long time. On the question about making cards bigger, I think Keith is absolutely always on the lookout for how we can thoughtfully make the cards bigger. I think the discussion on today's show about it was more on his video play space tonight, showing off the new trading card size version of the History Maker baseball cards. But I think that's going to be, when it makes sense to do it. I think it made sense to do it for the baseball game with trading card size cards, but I don't think you're necessarily going to see it for all different games. But I just keep encouraging everybody, if you have requests or ideas for things that Keith should do, just send an email to info@play.com and give me your thoughts. And so sorry for that long-winded answer for Brent's question, but thanks for the question, Brent. James, I'll toss that over to you for your thoughts.
Yeah, I'll stick, I won't touch on the bigger cards thing. I think you summed that up really well. But when it comes to storage, growing kids have provided me plenty of shoe boxes. And so I utilize those. Like every time my wife's like, do you want it? I'm like, I do. So I'll just take that.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. So I have taken well advantage of that. And I've got around my games in my closet, I've also got a ton of just shoe boxes that are just getting filled, and I'll just marker them up, Sharpie on the side, like this is baseball, this is hockey, whatever it might be. And I store everything that way. But every now and again, I'll do exactly what you described, Al. I'll pick up something else. I'll spend a little more money on something. And then I'm always like, what am I going to do? I'm going to buy 30 of these? Like, that's not going to happen. So shoe boxes is my easy answer.
Yeah, I've gone through lots of different iterations on storage. I mean, I think for a long time I was using the coin envelopes for when I was doing strat cards, I would put them in I forget what number, but whatever the coin envelopes were. And then I started using those for History Maker baseball teams, and I was like, this, like the smaller ones, and I was like, this is ridiculous. Why am I doing this? And so I've got a few different ones, but usually they end up just in stacks. And I find that the baseball card boxes work really well. We're used to have a long skinny box of commons that you can get a lot. Sometimes you can get two columns of History Maker cards in there, and basically just wherever I can shove things, that's where they go. And but the games that I'm playing, like right now, the Playdown set, it's like I just have them in stacks, like on my shelf behind me, because I'm just I'm regularly using them. So the idea of putting them away is insane. So,
I think Yeah, the final thought on that, you reminded me, I do like using the little mini Ziploc bags. I mean, like like you can buy like
The
500 from Amazon. No. I'm sorry. I didn't mean like literally the brand Ziploc. I just mean the smaller,
like coin. They're like coin bags.
Thank you. Like coin bags, but they're plastic and you have a Ziploc bag, and so you can see through them. So that's also a really nice way to store golfer sets, history maker baseball teams, as opposed to the envelopes or other methods.
Bands.
Yeah. So just another thought.
Yeah.
Okay. Good answer. From John Bergeron, for all of us, what projects are we most looking forward to beginning or finishing in 2026? And James, you can just refer people to your podcast if you want to, but Al, do you
just one for me. It's the Scram. It's the Wayne, Montana Scram project that I have going on. So that's my 2026 project.
Yeah. James, what about you?
I mean, clearly I have a few, but I would say like one of the ones that I'm really looking forward to is one of the next ones I'll be starting in Q2, which is, well, now, you know what? Here's the one I'm really looking forward to this year is redoing the 66 NFL season. And I think our friend Travis Jansen is doing it right now as well. But it's one of those that I'm going to try to do it using multiple formats. I'm going to use Fast Drive. I'm going to use some second season, might mix in some other games as well. But, I really have tried it with some of the co-ops, and that's one that I'm going to try to do with a couple of different formats to replay. I don't know how big the scale will be of the season. I don't think I'll do the full season, like every single game, but I'm certainly going to replay a couple of the teams and then definitely the playoffs.
Okay. I've got a handful that maybe I'll get done this year. Well, I'm confident that I'll get this Kentucky Union season done, so that'll be fun. I'm looking forward to that. I think I will probably run, there's going to be some options in this vintage horse racing season to do kind of a season, replay. I'll probably try to do that. And something that I started but then put on hold that I'd like to finish is doing all the Super Bowls in Fast Drive football. I'd gotten, I think, the first 10 or 12 done, and I now want to pick that up and finish that off. And yeah, I think that's probably it. I got a couple of games that I've been designing that I've set aside that I'd like to get back to. I'd like to get to the finish line. So I should use Al as inspiration because he's a machine when it comes to getting things completed. But anyway, all right, last one from Pete Stevens. When you are conducting a single team replay, for example, James's 1973 Mets replay with History Maker Baseball, how do you handle the opponent pregame issues, player injuries, TFNs, relief pitchers, hot, cold, etc.? James, you wanna handle this since you were specifically called out?
Yeah, and I had done this with I had just last year finished, actually in January, I finished up my 2024 Mets replay, and I thought about doing like tracking TFNs for everybody and just rolling them. Even though I was going to roll the games, I was like, maybe I'll just roll everybody's TFN so I know what they are. And then I said, yeah, what do I care when I'm not going to play Atlanta for 3 months, what their TFNs are in like April, right?
Yeah.
So what I settled on was, you know what? I'm going to use their as played lineups just to simplify those decisions for me. Let them come in with nothing on the table, no TFNs. I'll use the generic rule of the 2-hitter is hot, the 8-hitter is cold, and then let the 3-game series or 2-game series or 4-game series, I'll track TFNs if they roll. I'll roll them if they get them. And then as soon as the series is over, those are wiped out, right? And because I was using as played lineups, if I rolled an injury for them, I just ignored it. Unless it was like one in the game, I would let them be injured for the rest of the game, and then they were back for the next lineup,
Yeah.
But I did track all of those things for the Mets. Like I kept track of their TFNs, their hot and colds, all that. I did all of that for them. And let that be the true impact as I played through that season. So I felt like I was actually having to manage the roster as I went through the season. So
yeah, okay,
that worked out really well for me.
Yeah, I think when I had done the season, sorry, go ahead. Yeah, go ahead, Al.
No.
Well, I was gonna when I did a Baseball America season, I started as if I started tracking TFNs for every team, and then I very quickly was like, this is insane. So I think I ended up doing what James did. But Al, what did you have to add to this conversation?
But before he goes, I just have to say, I think.
Yeah, you were saying, James, what was it?
The only full season replay that I've done was back in 2012, whenever we were playtesting the game. I did the 1980 Phillies and did their entire season. I did a lot of what James just said. The only thing that I added was before each series, I would just roll a die to randomly tell me who was starting for like where they were in the rotation, where the opponent was in the rotation. So that was fun because sometimes now I think by default I was thinking, I'll just say if my number one is going, their number one is going. But that was, I thought that was kind of boring because that's not how it happens in real life. So I would randomize the starting pitcher for each series. And then I would because I was using strategy cards, like I was allowing myself to use strategy cards for my team. I would say that their bullpen was always fully rested. Everybody was available. I would track usage during the series, but that was pretty much it. In addition to everything that James said, I would randomize where they were in the rotation, and I would do the other thing that I just said. I totally lost my train of thought. The bullpen was totally fresh. So I might be coming into a series with McGraw unavailable for the first game because he's tired, but they've got their whole bullpen ready to go. So that was sort of the way I balanced the fact that I was able to use strategy cards and the opponent wasn't. So anyway, that was my addition. It's a good question, Pete. I think when I've asked Keith this question before, his answer is always the same. Do whatever you want, just be consistent.
Right. Be consistent.
Okay. Well, great questions, guys. We appreciate it. Let's, I think I think we can just take a quick break, put a bow on the episode.
Sounds good.
All right. Thanks, everybody, for listening. That is episode 5 of the Play Nation. Email us at playnation@gmail.com. You can find us on the web at playnationpodcast.com. And you can follow us on social media on all your different platforms at Play Nation. Anything you want to leave the folks with today, guys?
No, great show.
Okay.
Great show.
Great show.
Get back to basketball now.
I know, right? I got some hoops to watch.
Nice.
Thanks for listening, everybody. We'll talk to you next time.